Is there anybody here? I don't know if anybody's going to show up. It is a Saturday night. Sorry, I am slightly late. Somebody may be here. If anybody's here, if you're here, drop in the comments. What are we seeing here? Make sure got everything going. Can you hear me good? Am I too loud? Am I too soft? Let me know all in the comments below. Is anybody here? It's been a while since I've done a live. It's been probably 3 weeks, a month since I've done a live viewing or live video. If you're here in the chat and you hadn't hit the like button, hit the like button. If you want to chat. So today I figure that we will talk about a little bit about APS-C and what is going on with that. Talk about the new Fujifilm X-H2S and also talk about the R7 a little bit and just kind of go over the general sentiment behind those, which ones that we, tend to like for which situation, and then also talk about what Sony may be doing with the recent rumors of the ZV-E10 something or whatever it's going to be, a new ZV APS-C camera. So we'll see if people show up. If they don't show up, then it's okay. I'm checking my audio here on my phone, so you don't think I was watching Casey Camera Conspiracies. All right. Anybody here want to chat? Are you enjoying your Saturday night? I felt like I just needed to sit here and talk to everybody, just kind of talk about cameras, talk about life. I've kind of had a little bit of a rough couple of weeks, and I just with some personal stuff going on, I feel like my last video maybe reflected that slightly. I enjoyed doing it, but I was a little bit more ranty than usual, a little bit less cheery. So I was thinking, let's not do another video. Let's just get in front of the camera and talk with some peeps. So, yeah, we'll see if anybody joins. It was a little bit of a late notice live as well as a Saturday night. So last couple Saturday nights, we've had a good time, but people may or may not show up. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. But if you are here and you're in the chat and you want to talk, want to put something out there, let's do it. Let me go. I'll just start talking about some stuff and we'll see if anybody shows up. That usually seems like a good idea. So here is, assuming we can see this, here is Sony Alpha rumors. And I was basically talking a little bit about this new ZV-E10 or whatever they're going to call it. Underneath here, they say that it is not going to be a high-end model, which is a little bit confusing based upon some previous rumors. So they're not saying no, the ZV APS-C camera is not going to be a high-end camera. Basically, if you're looking for a mini A1, this isn't the camera. But what is odd about it is because in a previous rumor, he said it would have a stacked sensor. I know his track record's a little bit spotty, but as far as Sony goes, now that Naka, I can't think of the last name, but the guy who used to do stuff on Twitter, besides he basically stopped doing it. So since he's left, we don't really have anybody for Sony. Is anybody here watching? Has anybody showed up? Can y'all hear me? Check my audio. It's the first chat I've had that literally nobody has showed up. The first. Okay, sorry, I was checking my stuff. So, checking the lag. If you're somebody here and you want to chat, I'm going to give it about another 2 or 3 minutes to see if some of the usual suspects show up. That's one bad thing about YouTube is just in general, like not a complaint about everything, but I was able to, I kind of had to take some time with some family stuff and really only missed like one video, but I was usually posting videos twice a week, and just missing one video, it seems like my channel just way went down. Oh, I'm getting another like here, so maybe somebody's here and wants to chat. Oh, hey, there's people showing up. I thought I was going to be by my lonesome here. Anybody in the chat want to talk? I was talking a little bit about this this ZV-E10 or whatever we want to call it, or whatever it's going to be called, this new ZV APS-C camera. I'm not sure by him saying it's not a high-end camera if that means that Sony's basically not going to be investing high-end on their APS-C lineup. But I do find it interesting that they started releasing these lenses essentially right when they were releasing these APS-C lenses basically right when Canon was coming out with the R7 and the R10 and Fujifilm. So it just made me think that they were maybe signaling that, hey, we're not done with APS-C cameras. So for whatever that means. Let's see the chat, see if anybody's actually talking. Because I would much rather talk to you guys than talk to myself. I'd have people watching, not many people participating. If you're here and you'd like to participate, please do so. I was also kind of going over here these new patents for an RF APS-C pancake prime lenses. I personally think pancake lenses for an APS-C camera is brilliant. Let me see. I got right here. Oh, so if you can actually see me now, I think you can. I'm still figuring this thing out. Okay, this is a my first like camera ever. My first, I guess you want to call it, interchangeable lens real camera. It's an XT20, and this is a pancake lens on it. That's a 27 millimeter. So I think that's like what, a 50 ish. But what I love about it as being a pancake lens, I mean, this is a very small, discreet, way of shooting in my mind. And actually, this is with the handle grip to make it a little bit bigger. But it's just very nice to have a small camera that doesn't have a big protruding lens out of it. It really helps you get, I don't know, just some interesting shots and go out on the street photography and not be looked at funny, and people don't try to hide from the camera. Not that you're like spying on people, but people don't start acting not natural if you're doing street photography. So I love a pancake lens for street photography personally. And I'd be interested. I really like this 10 millimeter f2.8. That would be great for vlogging. So if you had that with an RF, say one of your, I guess the R10 or R7, that would be like the perfect vlogging lens. And it would be very wide angle. It'd be about 16. Then you can maybe pair it with your 20 and you get like a 35. Or I guess around like what this would give you, somewhere around a 24. So yeah, I think these lenses sound pretty great. I would like to see something a little bit better than 2.8, but I guess maybe pancake lenses can only do so much. But it'd be nice to see maybe even like a 2 in a pancake lens. Canon's done some very unique things with their full frame lenses, doing some cool, unexpected things with their glass with that RF mount. So I would like to see it possibly do something different. Sorry, I was talking about the 10 here, and I was showing my face. Let's see what the chat is. Anybody here? Oh, what's going on, John? I'm glad you're here, waiting for the Mets game. He said, "Hey Matt, popped in while waiting for the Mets game, so double tasking. Hey Matt, waiting for the Mets game in LA, so thought I'd pop in. Appreciate it. Appreciate you showing up." Frank R. just came by to say hi. Outside of my love for the XT4, I am more of a full frame lover, although the GH6 and XH2S have me thinking for a C cam. So what do you usually shoot for? You're saying outside of your love for Fuji, are you usually Sony or usually Canon? Because I think that is an interesting thing. Like, I really like the idea of having a B cam, like a Fuji B cam. That being said, Jason's here too, man. Appreciate you. He said, "Yo, Matt, I'm moving studios, so listening while moving stuff. Fire." Well, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you think it's fire. But yeah, I look forward to seeing the new studio. I'm actually going to be about to be heading to your side of the hemisphere, I guess we should say. I'm going to Vietnam, which is fairly close to Australia. I leave here the 28th, and I will be there for like a while. I'll be there for like 7 months, something like that. And we're supposed to be maybe coming to Australia to see my wife's aunt who lives down there. So we got a place to stay. So I might be in Australia. Be cool to come see the new studio. No, I don't even know. Australia is a big place. I don't even know if I'll be anywhere near you. But anyways, just saying, sharing the love of Australia. Sorry. So Frank, you were talking about a B cam with the Fujifilm. I like the idea of having like a Fujifilm B cam because I love Fujifilm and I love the look of Fujifilm. But the only problem I have with dual systems, and like if you're using the same camera or different cameras from the same shoot, is just it's really hard to color match. Like my Canon and my Sony, they're very hard to color match from what I've seen. Because granted, one's 8-bit, one's 10-bit. If I had maybe an R5 with the Canon or R5C, and I had there's probably some LUTs that do that. But if you're wanting to have like a particular look, I mean, I find it difficult to match between the two without a lot of extra work on top of it. So unless you're using it like a B cam, or you're saying C cam. So if you're using it as like you're maybe using it for some B-roll shots and it's supposed to have a creatively different look, or maybe you're using it just individually, like, oh, I want to go out and shoot with Fujifilm sometimes, then yeah. Okay, so Frank is saying, I am primarily an S1H shooter. I do have an R5, but it is on sale, so I can pick up the R5C. I know the R5C, dude. I kind of have a crush on that camera, I gotta say. Yeah, it's a great camera. If I wasn't primarily shooting with Sony right now, I would probably be with the R5C. I think I remember watching that video. Jason did a video with the R5C. So if you're interested in that, go check out his camera. Check out that video as well. Definitely a shout out there. DLE Vision Video Productions. These companies can't keep disregarding APS-C if all their full frame cameras keep going into that mode for higher frame rate video. Of course, with the exception of the A7S III. Oh, I got what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I think the R5 has full frame APS-C, or not APS-C, full frame 120 as well, if I'm not mistaken. 4K. But it is pixel binning, It's not using the full sensor, so it is soft from what I've seen, or from what I've heard, rather. One thing that is a little disappointing is, I'm not sure, I can't really remember on the R6, or the R7, rather. But with the XH2S, it has an additional crop on top of the on the 4K 120, which I find it a little odd. I know that they want to do some kind of, I mean, I would just do some pixel binning and even have a soft 4K 120 that you can use the full sensor, in addition to the way they give it to you with the oversampling. It's interesting to see, like you're saying, that with the crop, besides this A7S III, I really think that, I mean, it is purposefully used, with like the 4K 120, like the A7 IV. I mean, they have the capability of doing it, with obviously with the A7S III they did. So I know it's a larger sensor, or rather a larger megapixel count, so it would be harder to do a full-on 4K 120. But they're segmenting that on purpose. It was obvious once they did that with the 4K 60. That's just their way of segmenting things out. The R5 does have 120. The R7 doesn't have 4K 120, but does 4K 60. It's either cropped or pixel binned. Your choice. RE the 4K 60. Yeah. So appreciate you giving the extra spec information with the 4K 60. I would think that I don't believe that it is it pixel binning with the R7 to have 4K 60? I can't remember. I honestly can't. It's funny. We just cover those cameras, but I'm losing it a little bit here. In other words, you can either select full frame 4K 60 that's binned, or cropped 4K 60. Okay, I got what you're saying. So either way, you're essentially saying that unless you go up to the $3,500 range right now, you're not getting any real full frames that are doing 4K 120, or maybe full frame 4K 60 either. I guess you have the R5 or the R6, but it overheats and doesn't seem to give you as much options with their color profiles, if I can remember correctly. So let me jump over here to one of these other. What do y'all think? So I'm going to ask the question here because I was just talking about it. What is your thoughts on what Sony Alpha Rumors is saying with this new ZV-E, whatever it's going to be called, camera? I thought it was kind of conflicting, with one rumor saying that it was going to be a stacked sensor, saying like, ooh, of course it's going to have a stacked sensor. I thought that was kind of silly, because Sony very rarely is using their stacked sensor. So to say it's of course going to be a stacked sensor doesn't ring true, especially if the next rumor that he said it's not going to be a high-end camera. It's going to be like a mid-tier. Why would that be a stacked sensor? John says, bingo, R7, the R6 doesn't have 4K 120 either. It's HD 120. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so they're just going to make you go up to the $3,500 or more, like the R5 and the R5C, or Sony's making you do it with the A7S III. Or the, if you want to go crazy and go with the A1. But has anybody heard much about that ZV camera besides me, or anybody have any thoughts on that ZV E10 camera? Jason, I know you can't talk right now, but look forward to seeing that new studio whenever you do the studio tour. I need a new studio. I will have a new studio coming up after June 28th because I will be in Vietnam. So I don't know what the studio will look like. It might actually just be outside, but it will be a new background, a new location. While we're maybe getting some people to talk about that, I do want to go over to right here and talk a little bit more about the so Nikon rumors. They put out something saying that there's going to be a Z30, 2 new cameras this year, a Nikon Z30, and I don't know. So Nikon is rumored to announce 2 new cameras this year. Most likely one is APS-C and one full frame model. 2 new Nikon cameras were already recently registered online. I am pretty sure the first camera will be the Nikon Z30 coming later this month with the 400mm f 4.5 Z lens. The second camera is complicated. I have received several different reports and they do not match. The worst case scenario for a rumor site. Here are the possible options. I'm thinking one of the options is going to be a Z8. Yep, I think it's right there. So this is pretty interesting. We'll just stop right here and we can talk about it a little bit more because we're kind of focusing on the APS-C line. Do you know, is anybody familiar with Nikon? So apparently this is going to be a mirrorless APS-C camera. Obviously they're saying that with the new Z mount. But their 30 designation, is that usually a high-end APS-C camera or is that usually a lower-end one? Does anybody know? Is anybody like a big Nikon person? Okay. John says, the ZV stuff on photo rumors sounds highly speculative. Even Sony Alpha Rumors doesn't believe it. Yeah, I think that's kind of where he was pushing back, saying that this is not going to be a high-end camera. But his previous rumor said it was going to have a stack sensor, so that was a little bit odd. I think I'm losing people here. I think John, I think the Mets game's going on. It is a Saturday night, but it is fun to get out here and talk to people. So. Especially when things have been going on with just life, personal life stuff and family member stuff. I don't want to go too deep into sadness here, but it's good to talk to the community. So I appreciate you guys being here just as much as me being here because you guys are here with me and for me. So I appreciate it. But I just didn't want to. I made one video this week and it was felt a little bit maybe off brand for me, and I just didn't want to be making more videos like that in that state of mind. Jason said you would imagine the next APS-C camera being pretty much a smaller A7. You would imagine the next APS-C camera being pretty much a smaller A7 IV. It shouldn't have specs better than that. Yeah, I think the A7 IV is going to really hold back. John says I'm streaming the game on a separate window. I appreciate you, John. Appreciate you being here. So, yeah, I think that Sony's A7 IV is going to kind of hold back their APS-C line in a way. Not that the A7 IV isn't a good camera. I'm just saying they seem to be protecting their specs. So I can't see it being like a mini A9. Like I don't see that happening. I don't know. I don't think that they could come out with a camera to match the XH2S in the APS-C lineup. And the R7 is very capable, but I even think that personally, I wish that it would have been a $2,000 camera, had a little bit of a better buffer, and maybe went a little bit more high end, maybe add that stacked sensor. That would have been ideal in my mind, but I'm sure it's going to be great. I like the idea of the pre-shoot. I think John's getting it. You hadn't got it yet. I think it actually launches in July, I believe. But I like that pre-shoot feature that you get, which shoots like about a half a second before you shoot. But the buffer is a little bit of an issue, I feel, for the particular type of camera it's supposed to be. But I mean, I guess 15 frames per second is nothing to sneeze at. So you're getting about, I guess, what, 3 second hold, 2 to 3 second hold on that. So it's not that bad. It's good, I guess. It's pretty incredible compared to what we used to get. But yeah, Jason, I do agree with you. It's hard to imagine that Sony does anything higher end than the A7 IV with an APS-C camera, unless they really do like put it like at another level, like a $3,000 camera, because I think otherwise it is going to super bite in to the A7 IV. So yeah, I think Sony has set their bar for where they're going to be, unfortunately. John says, yeah, I've ordered it. Talking about the R7 pre-shoot apparently works in RAW, unlike the Z9 that only does it in JPEG. Wow, that is cool. That's really cool. I didn't know that the Z9 only did it in JPEG, to be real. I thought it did in RAW. But it's interesting that they do it in RAW and that the Z9 does not. It's kind of surprising in my mind. It seems like that would be a lot of data. I wonder how much of I'm trying to think. So in order for them to do that, it has to have online or onboard storage. So it's using it like a cache. So it's holding a certain amount of RAM cache to do that. So it's interesting. I wonder if it's like a whole separate short-term cache that they use, or if it's using... They're probably having to delegate it from the same chip. So I wonder if it does slow down the camera in some form or fashion. Obviously, it shoots what it shoots, so it's not slowing down that. But I guess I'm saying for Nikon to push the best of the best out of it, maybe all they could do with would be the JPEG. Where I guess the R7 maybe, I think it kind of limits its own self with its buffer to keep itself within spec. I think that's how I see it. Jason, if I come to Australia, I'm gonna stalk you, man. No, but that would be cool to meet up if I do come to Australia. I don't know where in Australia I'm going to, so I just know I have a free place to stay if and when or after I go to Vietnam. So if it's close to you, I definitely would love to come learn your ways, because I know Jason's a boss when it comes to YouTube videos. Let's jump into this a little bit further on, what this possible other camera could be. So he says a new cheap Nikon Z2 or Nikon Z4, not likely. Entry-level full-frame cameras are not popular anymore. Many companies are now concentrating on APS-C mirrorless products again. Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not true. I think if they're up to spec, they're popular enough, but maybe they are so far behind spec. It's just kind of I don't really know if we have a big enough sample size to say they're popular or not popular. The new Nikon Z6 with a 30 megapixel sensor. Nikon has done 24 megapixel sensors, and all future cameras will have a higher megapixel count. I don't foresee them bringing a Z6 Mark III out this fast after the Z6 Mark II. Personally, I just think that would be a little bit cutting it close. The Nikon Z8 camera. I never liked Z8 rumors. It's just too early for Nikon to start cannibalizing their Z9 sales. They still have many open Z9 orders that will not be filled anytime soon. The idea of a Z8 is similar to what Nikon did with D850, a high megapixel camera, and a smaller body. Oh man, am I not screen sharing? Okay, no, I am. In a smaller body. Sorry, I lost my reading. No grip for less money. My confusion here comes from the fact that we already have the Z7 Mark II. Nikon has either abandoned the Z7 line and released the Z8 or improved Z7 line. I simply do not see how these two product lines can coexist. The only possible scenario is to drop the price of the Z9 or Z7 and make a marginal update, Z7 Mark III, and move all the new tech to the Z8 body that requires a premium price. I just don't know for now. What do you think? Full frame mirrorless camera makes sense for Nikon to release right now. What full frame? Okay, so I guess that's a question. For me, it is interesting to think about that. I think Nikon kind of threw a wrench in the game when they came out with when they priced the Z9, or rather, the Z9, they priced it so cheap in comparison to other flagships that they kind of threw a wrench in their own game, in my mind. But I like the idea of a Z8, maybe come in somewhere around like the R5, or maybe even a little cheaper, but then that maybe does cannibalize that Z7. Interesting. Let me go back over here to the chat. Okay, so John says, yeah, the data is cached during half press of the shutter. I don't know what effect it has on the buffer, which isn't great apparently in electronic shutter. Well, I think the reason, I don't think it's any worse or less, I mean, I guess you probably know this, but just maybe for more clarification for people who might not know, the Z7 isn't really a bad, it doesn't have any less of a buffer in any one of the modes. The reason it's not great in electronic shutter is just because it's shooting so fast. Because if it's 30 frames per second and you only have a second and a half, because you're getting about 40 frames, whereas with the actual mechanical shutter, it shoots 15 frames per second, then you actually can get 2 to 3 seconds. So I guess that's the point. To be real though, I don't foresee wanting to shoot the Z6 or the Z6. There's so many different acronyms. Can we come up with like the Canon something, like make it like something sounds cool and not just like another number like the Nikon, Durango. I mean, I know it's a Dodge Durango. I'm just saying, like, have some kind of cool name so I don't have to remember all these letters and numbers behind everything. Anyways, but overall, I wouldn't want to shoot the Z7 outside of mechanical shutter mode, just because essentially the rolling shutter, apparently it's not that great. You meant R7, LOL. And yeah, I expect I'll shoot mechanical burst also. Yeah, I did mean R7. I'm not sure. How is the lag going on out here? Maybe I can listen to my own self. I do that sometimes. So testing. We'll see. So testing. Oh, that's kind of a substantial lag. We'll see. Oh, that's kind of a substantial lag. Is anybody having a problem with the lag here? Do y'all feel like it's really bad? I guess we don't really have too many people chatting, so it's not as big of a deal. Did anybody, John, did you see my last video by chance? Because I think I came across a little bit mean. And I feel bad about that. Been going through some stuff, so I don't know. About a 10-second lag. Yeah, 10 seconds. quite a bit. Usually I like, 5 or 6 second maybe is usually pretty understandable here. Oh, let me see. No, okay, it's 4K. Let me see if I can drop sometimes the resolution, but the resolution's pretty low end already. I'm looking at 720, so should be able to handle it. I think it's either a YouTube thing. Usually my internet's pretty decent, so sometimes it's an Ecamm Live thing. It's just completely random. What else do y'all want to talk about? Do y'all have anything that's on your mind as far as that goes, or should we maybe kind of cut it short today? I'm trying to remember what I put on the comments that we were going to talk about. Basically, I think that was it. Mostly just the APS-C cameras coming. The camera news has been very slow. Now, I think just in general, like with some of the stuff that was going on with my family and things of that nature, just like the loss of my family, I think it's kind of like stopped me from maybe thinking as creative in some ways when you're stressed and things like that going on. And so I was kind of hoping that there would be some, I don't know, really good camera news that I could just like, not phone it in. I try to put effort into my videos for sure, but at least give me a subject that I could latch onto. But yeah, so I'll be staying in, Jason just asked where I'm going to be in Vietnam. Whereabouts are you staying in Vietnam? I am going to be in Sac Trang, Vietnam. So that's about 5 hours south of Ho Chi Minh City. And the nearest city that it's close to, I mean, it's a pretty decent sized city. But it's beside, what's it called? Cung Tha, Vietnam, that has another airport in it. So I'd actually maybe be able to fly out from Cung Tha when I go to Australia. I'm not sure. Or it might just be completely domestic stuff. But yeah, so we will be traveling all around. Part of the reason, I mean, her family lives is in Sac Trang, so that's where we're going to be primarily. But we've been saving up money. The point is to go there and add an additional travel channel. So I will be keeping this one going, obviously, but I'm going to be doing creating travel videos along the way. And once I feel like we've built a big enough cachet of them, because that's something with travel content and adventure content, you need to go really far out. Because if you want to stay consistent with YouTube, then you got to kind of have to go far out with your travel content. So the goal is to do that. The name of the new channel is going to be the Asian and Caucasian Show. That's kind of a vlog that I was doing on this channel a long time ago. Was the Asian Caucasian Show. So that's going to be the name of the channel. But I have it, but I'm not going to necessarily like launch it. What style are you doing with the travel videos? Jason asks. It's a good question. Primarily entertaining. Not necessarily all about just the helpful nature of everything. It's not that I'm not going to try to be helpful, but it's not going to be like educational as far as like, you go here and you do this. I mean, you're going to kind of get some elements of that as far as, I'll be giving people my take on, say, the food in a particular location, or we're talking about doing a cruise in Ha Long Bay. So I'll be giving my opinions about different places that we stay and different things to do in different locations. But overall, it's probably going to be like, the hope is to be just entertaining with traveling for people who love travel. So, kind of travel vlogs, I guess, would be the main element. I do love history, so I'm hoping to maybe add some history to it. My wife loves food, so we're hoping to maybe add, make that an element of travel of like, okay, maybe trying to find out like what are the top spots for, best pho in, Ha Long Bay or whatever the case is, or the best foods in a different particular area. So just different elements of travel. I'm trying to figure out what my voice is going to completely be with that. Does that make sense? Did I answer anything? Did I lawyer speak? I answered without answering anything. Jason says he loves pho. Yeah, I do too. It's funny because most people call it pho, like pho is like how they say it in the United States, but in Vietnam it's pho. It's just pronounced different. It was funny because when my wife first came here, she made some pho, and she made some of that, and my dad was calling it. He was saying it right, but everybody was saying it like the American way of saying it. They were going pho. It's not that, and so we were like all correcting my dad, and then my wife was like, "No, he's saying it better than everybody else." So I was like, "Okay." I love the shirts that like in Vietnam they'll have shirts that say "Pho" and then "King," like King, and I think it's funny. Okay, as John said, it'll be interesting to hear some history about the war from Vietnam's perspective. Oh, I can tell you some history about the war from Vietnam's perspective. A little bit. I don't know if that's going to be necessarily the channel's the groove of the channel, but I when I think of history more, I'm just talking about like I'll probably throw it in there. Like I'll say we go to a temple or we go somewhere, like I will give the history about it because I just love history. So I definitely want that to be an element, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be a focus. Right now, my main camera setup that I'm talking to you right now is literally the laptop, the new whatever it's the M1 Max or what is it called, M1 something. That laptop is the camera setup that I'm using right now, but I'm thinking you maybe are talking about my actual one. Back to the history in just a second. When I travel, yeah. So I have the A7S III. I was going. It was probably going to be my primary. I'm got it paired with the 17 to 28, I think. The Tamron is going to be my wide angle for vlogs, or my wide angle. And then I have the Sigma 24 to 70 is like the primary. And then I was going to actually sell that camera and get the Tamron 35 to 150 just because I wanted to like, I don't know, like kind of get a 2-in-1. But I ordered it March 1st. It's never came in. So I'm probably going to just cancel that order. And I picked up this camera or this lens right here. So I have a prime. I got the Sigma 1.485. And so I figure with the clear image zoom, I mean, that gives me like it zooms in like 1.5. So that gives me the range of, I don't know. What is that? That's close to like a 130 or something like that. So that's kind of the rig I'm running with right now, as far as the primary camera. And then secondary, for photography, may use still some of my like my Canon R, my EOS R. I'll probably run some of photography on that. Overall though, with 12 megapixels, if I'm, for purposes of social media, I'm good. And then I do have, I just bought, I haven't even opened it. I had it for a while. I need to be using it more. But it's the Insta360 RS, the twin one, or whatever the newer one was. Because I like the idea of getting like a 360 angle. Like you can almost get like a drone look from it. And I know that drones, most places I go, and I have a drone too, but I rarely will be able to use it because I think in Vietnam you're supposed to have a permit like everywhere. So not saying that there's not certain places I can use it, but I like the idea of having something that will almost give you that 360 view and has really great stabilization. Say we're riding on a motorbike, of course the water, like in water stuff. So kind of a GoPro, but I also like the idea of having the 360 view that without having to have a. They can kind of give you that drone view without having to have a drone. So those are my main stuff that I'm going to be rocking with. I hope it works. I also just bought. I don't have it on me, but I just bought the DJI mic, the little like lavalier mic, the transmitter mic. Overall, it sounds really good. I still think I like a shotgun mic a little bit better for the quality. And I'm going to have it, but at the same time, I like the flexibility of getting interesting shots with the lavalier. So also considering that this channel is going to involve my wife, even if she's maybe not going to be doing everything primarily, I would like to have the option to mic her as well. So yeah. Have I genuinely put everybody to sleep yet? Honestly, I think it's just Jason and John here, and I appreciate both of you being here, but I think it's just you two right now. And it's awesome. But I do know that Jason is you're moving, and John is watching the Mets game as well. So I think it's kind of funny. So I understand if y'all cannot chat, but I appreciate it. Oh, John, back to history. I didn't mean to cut you off like that, John. I don't know if you're still here or not. But history in Vietnam's perspective of the war. So the first time I ever went to Vietnam, we stayed in, not stayed, but we went and visited a place, funny, called Cu Chi, Vietnam. Oh, really? John says, good luck with the DJI mic. I waited months for it, finally got here, and the receiver didn't work. That sucks, man. Mine so far has worked decent. I think it sounds good, but it's just not anything. I think it's a little, for my voice, I like a little bit of a deeper sound, and I think it captures a little bit. I think shotgun mics capture that a little bit better. I think the DJI, from what I've heard, it kind of makes a little bit of a shrill, I think is the word. It's a little bit higher sounding, but that sucks. Mine does seem to be working, and it's decent from what I've heard. Probably haven't used another one, so I'm not sure. I know that the other option is the Rode Wireless Go. So back to the history really quick. So we went to Cu Chi, Vietnam, which is a funny name. And it was really interesting. They actually had like the underground tunnels, like the people used to like crawl, like basically how they would travel and everything. It's interesting to see that. And they also talked about kind of how people ate, like so basically they would live underneath the ground, which is crazy because of bombing and stuff. And they would have to build a separate tunnel that would go kind of a far distance that would, I guess release the smoke and things of like that so that they could cook. But they could still that basically smoke from cooking would be going somewhere else, and they would be able to enjoy their meal without people seeing their location. So that was interesting. But as far as like their perspective of, okay, I don't want to say too much because I don't know. I don't know everybody's perspective, but let's just say from the government's perspective. So, it's kind of looked at as like a big celebration or a point of pride, like national pride, which is very interesting because, like in America, Jason's Australian, so I'm not sure if he's very familiar with this particular thing, but in America, people look at Vietnam as kind of like a black eye to a certain degree, like a blemish in it just seemed like it was a wasted war in a lot of ways. We lost a lot of people and it drug on, and I think a lot of people look at it as just a completely sad situation. And we didn't, you know, really get much out of it, or anything out of it. So from our perspective, it's kind of like a war we lost, quote unquote, whatever that really means. Who wins necessarily? But for them, they look at it as like hey, we beat the big bad America to a certain degree. Or at least that's what it looked like from what I saw in a very small thing. And it wasn't like they tend to really like Americans in Vietnam, from what I've seen. So it's not like that way. I just think it's kind of like along the lines of saying, like, you could be a fan of Mike Tyson, but if I jumped in the ring with Mike Tyson and somehow beat him up, I mean, I'd be like, wow. Like, everybody would look at Mike Tyson and be like, what just happened? That was like the worst thing that ever happened in your life. But if I beat up Mike Tyson, I mean, that would be something I would like tell everybody. I would probably just get a shirt. Or maybe we get it tattooed on my face. Like how Mike Tyson has his tattoo. I beat up Mike Tyson, and whatever link I could get. So the point is, they technically, being clever and everything, they, won that war and achieved their goals. And so they look at it from a side of pride. At least on the, from what the very small group that I saw that had like, the government's, like I said, this was a government thing, but they were talking about a particular battle, which was one of the big battles that happened at the very end. And they were just like celebrating it, like just showing like and we would talk about that battle because we lost the battle in a completely different manner. But that being said, like you can get a lot of people who have different perspectives, on like the feelings of everybody that I saw still really like Americans. It wasn't necessarily anything against Americans. But it was just the fact that they won that war. Sorry, did I bore you with the story? You asked about that history of Vietnam from their perspective, but I don't want to like be super general. Does that make sense? Because I'm American, and I literally just went to one war site that was kind of venerating it, but I'm not. I don't know the entirety as far as that goes. But I just thought it was an interesting dichotomy from growing up in America. I think that I have maybe put some people to sleep with my war stories, my Vietnam stories. John says, you can say it, we lost. I have many other thoughts, but that isn't the venue. This isn't the venue. We had no real beef with Vietnam or them with us. Yeah. No, I think that that's overall, like, I think that not even going to be, I don't think this is a political statement at this point. I think most people who are Americans know that was a bad war. Like, we just shouldn't have been there. I think it started off with good intent, maybe. I don't know, for whatever intent you could think, but I guess in my mind we were there because they were a colony of France, and we were helping France, essentially, from my understanding, and it was kind of like became the battleground of communism. So I think that was part of it. But yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into that either, because I don't want to. Everybody does have, people can have different perspectives on everything. I do think it's interesting that, John said it was the Cold War, and Vietnam was a proxy platform for us to fight China because they backed North Vietnam. Yeah, that was a huge part of it. But it wasn't even just them at the time. I think, because China was communist, but we didn't really, I don't think look at China as a I don't know, we didn't look at them as necessarily a threat as much at the time as we looked at like Russia, but I think it was just the idea of communism spreading was, I guess, part of it. So yeah, that was a big part. I think I don't know how we got on the Vietnam War, but I do think in retrospect, I think it was bad how the soldiers were treated when they came back, 100%, because I think a lot of people who, like World War II, people came back, with good feeling and everything. But I think that was a big division. Like, I think that they didn't get I don't know about just respect, but I think they were treated poorly. I don't think that should have been the case. At the same time. Jason, I'm surprised you're still here, man. We wouldn't start talking about history of Vietnam. He's just said, not going to lie, but I didn't know the U.S. lost in that war. I don't think Australia has anything to do with that one. No idea. Yeah, most people will agree that America or the U.S. lost that war, and that's kind of like, America's bad at a lot of things, but one thing we're good at is war. So I guess that's a terrible bad thing to say. That's a point of pride is we're good at war. I don't know, but yeah, I guess essentially we didn't accomplish our goals and they accomplished their goals, and so I think that's the definition of losing a war. But yeah, it's an interesting perspective. Everything can be interesting on that, but yeah, it's crazy how hindsight will look back at everything where we are today, like the stances we take or don't take, like what will be like the next. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I don't want to like bore anybody here, guys. I'm sorry, like I don't think there's too many of us hanging out, so we can completely talk about something else, or we could stop talking. we're really diving away from cameras here. So what up, Mad Dog Adventures? What's going on, man? Oh, so sorry. Mad Dog, what's up, man? If I'm not mistaken, yeah, we know for each other from LCA. And a lot of times he shows up just to hang out. He doesn't even really, you don't care about cameras near as much. You're just like here for the party, and I always appreciate it. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. Because I might get you confused with somebody else. Yes. Okay, so I said it right. Okay, so Jason said, so you might be in for some luck. We're really not talking about cameras. We're talking about Vietnam and the Vietnamese American War. I don't know. I'm going to Vietnam. My wife's from Vietnam, so I've been there multiple times, but I'm going to go for a long time to see her family and also create a travel channel. So we just started talking about the Vietnam War, and so yeah, if you want to jump in, that's cool. But said, I appreciate you coming by to say hello. Jason said, what is the iconic photograph of the girl running down the street? That part of the war was that, or what part of the war was that? Jason, the U.S. basically withdrew and signed a peace agreement. Politically, we lost, if not militarily. There was a little domestic support to keep fighting. Yeah, I thought that was going to be that girl was fleeing from a napalm attack during the war. Not sure what battle. Her clothes were burned off her, but she lived. Okay, so no, this is a completely different one then, I think. So I did not see that. Maybe I've seen the photo, but I'm not very familiar with. I can't really think of what the ones that I know of. No, I think that was in a completely different thing. Um, but I was thinking that I know there was photos of us basically helicoptering out, and we left. So a lot of people at the time, South Vietnam, it was a civil war going on in a lot of ways. It's a very famous photo. Well, let's look. How about that? We're here. We're talking. The one I was thinking of is, basically when we were leaving, and there was a lot of photos of basically us just kind of leaving, and a lot of people trying to leave when we did, because in any war there's sides that back the people who are at one particular side. This could be bad. Famous photos. Let's go with that. Famous photos. Oh, I'm guessing it's that one. Maybe. I don't really want to click on this, to be honest. Sorry, just not the headspace I want to be in right now. Yeah. Yeah. It's enough about war. I mean, we can keep talking about it, but I don't want to look at the pictures. I'm not CNN or anything. It's good. Seen enough of that. You said don't click on it, but that's the one. Gotcha. That's sad, man. All that's sad. I know this is controversial, guys, but I'm not pro-war. Overall, I'm just against it in general. Really taking a hard stance there, right, guys? But that's about as the biggest. I don't know. You could really take any stance on anything anymore without getting completely crucified online, because it's just everything's so divided now, which is unfortunate. I wish we couldn't we all just get along. But yeah, I just wish that we were able to have discourse and agree on cameras or agree on travel and have a disagreement about something else, but not let it I think over the last whatever, and maybe it's always been that way, you're never supposed to talk about religion and politics, right? But I wish that we could separate as individuals and not demonize a person for whatever political beliefs that they have, and realize people are more nuanced than a party, I guess, as far as that goes. And I think I can say that without stirring up any hornet's nest. But other than that, I think it's best, just unless you're a political channel or a news channel, just to stay out of politics, because I'm a camera channel. My politics are Canon versus Sony versus Nikon, and that gets pretty dirty. If I say one thing against Canon or Nikon, just stay the hell out of it. Sometimes I was doing all these versus videos, and man, my dislike ratio, it would be like a 50-50, because people would just be clicking on it. And most of the time my video would be overall trying to give it would get a lot of traction, but I just did not enjoy the hate. But overall, usually I'd try to be as, I was stirring it up. If I put anything versus anything, you're going to get problems. But anyways, several Vietnam vets in my family, and I was almost drafted myself, so pardon my opinions. Glad to see relations normalized now. I would like to visit there myself. Enjoy your trip. Yeah, it has normalized. No, I don't think you said any bad opinion whatsoever in my mind. So there's no pardon to your opinion. I understand. My uncle is a vet of Vietnam, and a lot of stuff happened there not so good, and his kind of messed him up. Got into some alcohol and stuff afterwards, and he's does better now, but it was definitely something that scarred him. That was definitely there. And my dad wound up being in the reserves during Vietnam. He signed up, but he was back then. My grandfather was World War II. He was badly injured in World War II, and my dad was like the only person that carried the name, and that mattered back then. More so, I think, than what, at least more emphasis than what we put on it now. So he would have went, but I think it was kind of he would have rather went to the reserves. Guys, sorry, I hope, but yes, sorry, John, I didn't mean to go on into that, but go visit Vietnam. I 100% recommend it. The people, from my experience, are extremely kind. I think it's amazing that I do feel like they almost have a better sense of community than at least what I see here in America. And I think it's always good to get other people's perspective on life. And one thing about being in America, you hear about the Vietnam War, you don't hear about the Vietnam country. And so most time, the first time you hear Vietnam, you hear a word Vietnam, and then like literally war is the next word that people associate with in the United States. And when I first went there, like I didn't know what to expect. But you find people anywhere I've ever went in life. You find people. And I think that that's something that sometimes we don't realize. We just hear about things happening, and we don't associate that these are people with families and hopes, dreams, and goals, and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely recommend traveling to broaden horizons. And I guess when it comes to my travel channel, whenever it launches, I do hope that I can bring that perspective of showing, I don't know, show the culture, try to put like I don't know, realness there for people, for everyone to see that these are people with their own lives and families and everything. And so I want people not just experience a place, but to also have experience a little bit of the culture. And I think I will be fortunate enough to be able to bring some of that perspective, just because my wife's Vietnamese, and I will be living with our family there who, is all Vietnamese. So I feel like in touch with the culture and the people a little bit more so than what you would if you're just a regular tourist. So I hope I can kind of bring, I don't know, more of a actual, what is life in Vietnam, more so than just like, oh, what is it like to be a tourist in Vietnam? I think I can bring a little bit more of that. And I hope, I don't know, we'll see where it goes. I haven't even made one video about it yet, so we'll see what the channel becomes. Guys, this has been fun. I've had a good time. We've talked about a lot of things. Most of them have not been cameras. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out. I'm going to try my best to get back to my more normal self next week and start pumping out more videos. Don't want to go into too much detail, but definitely been some family stuff that has kind of made it a little bit harder to I guess be in the mood to produce the videos that I would prefer, I guess, to give my all to everything. So here I am live, and I appreciated everybody being here. I needed this like everybody else, I think, or hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I depart June 28th. The way my kind of view is with this channel, current channel, I'm thinking that when I go, I may start doing one video a week and then one live a week, because I'm going to be doing other things on top of it. But I'll see how it goes. Obviously, I'm going to keep up a one video a week, but right now I do 2 videos a week, usually. or do a video and a live. But I think when I'm there, it might be easier just to do one video and then a live, as well as being, traveling and creating other content that of course I can use for this channel and for others. This channel and the travel channel. So I will be doing that stuff, but I just wanted to give everybody an update on that, or the people who are here. It's funny, now we got people watching, and I think it's about time to head out. But yeah, if anybody has any questions or any camera questions or anything y'all want to throw into the chat before I leave, let me know. If not, I appreciate everybody being here and talking to everybody. I enjoyed everybody's conversation. Thank you, John, Jason, Mad Dog. Thanks for showing up. Frank, thank you all for being here. Thank you to everybody who just watched and hit the like button. Thank you for everything. Haven't subscribed, obviously always super appreciated to do that. Tom said, sorry I missed it. I'm sorry you missed it too, bud. But I appreciate appreciate you being here at the end, and appreciate you sending in the comment. You can go back towards the beginning. We talked cameras a little bit. We talked about the APS-C stuff. But this actually became just a chat. And I appreciate that as well. So enjoyed everybody. Y'all enjoy your Saturday night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Talk to you guys later. Jason, look forward to seeing the new studio, bud. Later, John. Later, everybody. Until next time, if I can do it at the same time, it'd be awesome. Peace.